Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. I'm JT, joined by Lounis and Frank. Jake might be joining us later. Who knows? We'll see later down the road. He might be avoiding us again.
He lost this week. So
he did lose again this week in our home league. He's the only one out of this group, not currently in the playoffs, but you guys don't care about that. Let's just get into the news. We have some very wild, unpredictable news. We'll start off with Henry Ruggs was involved in a car crash in Las Vegas at like 3 a.m. last night as of the day we are recording this, Tuesday. Someone unfortunately died from the accident. If you saw pictures online, both cars look completely destroyed. Like, it was a very tragic kind of scene. Henry Ruggs was apparently driving under the influence and impaired. I mean, there's going to be an investigation, but when you see something like that at the time that it was, assumptions start being made. I think the police are charging him with that kind of crime, which I think I saw Nevada laws say that could be a 2 to 20 year sentence. So who knows if Henry Ruggs ever plays football again?
Yeah. First off, like, that is such a wild difference, you know?
2 to 20 years.
It's going to end up being on the shorter end just because
I don't know.
It's like money, but
Lawyer Lounis coming out.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, with all like these like millionaire athletes.
Dude, what is going on? This is like a crime-riddled season. Like,
Dude, just
okay,
this the Raiders. Think about it. Like, you have your coach.
I mean, Sean Watson too. Like, that's like kind of the reason he's not playing.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. And then, I mean, I'm sure they'll know the result to the Ruggs thing soon. They can just test his blood, but
I can't imagine it's good. I mean,
no.
I think the one takeaway we can all get from this is don't drive while impaired. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure though that like there's going to be 0 people out there that are listening to this podcast and are like, oh, that chubby guy from the 3rd and 20 podcast said not to drink and drive, so now I'm not going to. But if it does stop one person, I feel like we did our job.
Worth it.
And don't make fantasy trades impaired either. That's what you can take away.
That is also true.
Or if you're gonna make them impaired, you better be super impaired so that you forget about it.
It's so bad that it's good.
Yeah. Maybe one of those. All right, let's move
All
on.
right, we already got
Calvin Ridley.
Well, hold on. With the Henry Ruggs thing, right? Like, I can't. If you have Henry Ruggs, it's just like it's the worst case scenario other than him.
See ya, Lounis.
Yeah, it's just
see ya, bud.
I just don't think he's ever playing football again.
Me neither. People brought up the Star Wars situation, but that was different.
The what situation?
Dante Stallworth.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Star Wars. I'm like, what's Star Wars situation?
Dante Stallworth. No, because he had a situation where like he was charged with DUI and ran someone over and killed them. But that was different because with Ruggs, he just rear-ended this car, and versus Stallworth, someone was like illegally crossing the road. So like the driver wasn't expected to see someone walking there. So but Ruggs, I don't think he's gonna play in the NFL again.
Yeah, and the other problem is that Ruggs isn't really good enough to warrant all that PR issues.
I don't necessarily disagree. It's just, I don't know. It seems like if it goes the way it's going, he's getting at least 2 years in jail, and then who's taking him after 2 years? Like you said, Frank, it's not like he's Michael Vick, like where he's
see, that's the problem, is that your talent level. Sorry, Ruggs. Like maybe someone takes a shot, but I'm not rostering him for 2 years to find out.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just going to be 2 years separated from the league. He's 2 years separated from the league because he killed someone. All
right, let's move on though.
All right, completely different side of the spectrum of someone leaving the league. We have Calvin Ridley stepping away. Apparently, it's for mental health. That's what networks kind of reported, but it didn't make that like abundantly clear in his statement. I guess that's just kind of assumed that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So he's stepping away from football. He didn't really give a timeline of when he'd be back.
He didn't say if he'd be back.
Yeah, speculations all over Twitter. Personally, I think this is where we're just going to drive it now. Like, I don't think Calvin Ridley is retiring. I just think, you need to step away. But I
kind of have a bad feeling he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can take weeks off and still without having like completely step away. Like we saw Lane Johnson, he was dealing with personal issues. He took a month off, but still was on the roster and everything, returned. And you just have a bunch of games missed personal reasons. I'm sure you could probably have done that for the rest of the season. For him to just step away in general, that seemed pretty big to me, which kind of puts Ridley owners in a tough position. I mean, if you believe he's coming back, in a year or 2 years, great. But I don't know. It's like it's impossible to judge because he didn't give any timeline. He didn't say if he was for sure coming back, like, oh, I'll come back when I'm ready. Like he just said I'm stepping away. So it's like impossible to interpret.
I have no idea. I think the real question is, though, like, are you trying to buy the Calvin Ridley dip? Is that worth it, or is that too risky?
I was about to ask that. Like, if you own Ridley and someone offers you like an early second for him, what are you saying?
Oh, fuck no. I'm keeping Ridley if I have him. But like,
over the early
let's
second?
just say that someone is selling him, like trying to get rid of him. Say they're a contender, and they're like, yeah, I'd just rather pivot to a different receiver. Like, are you trying to or no?
There's just too many.
Personally, I'm staying away. I'd rather just use the assets towards someone else.
What percentage would you say he just returns this year? I put it at like a 1% chance.
This year
comes back this season.
0 this year.
You think 0?
For this year, 0.
I think it's.
Yeah, let's just assume the Falcons are starting to fight for a playoff spot. I think he might all of a sudden be interested in football again.
Yeah, okay. The Falcons are going to compete with the Saints and the Bucks. So those Falcons are going to compete with the Saints
even better
and the
than
Bucks.
Carolina.
Yeah, there's no way they're competing for a playoff spot. And to be honest, I don't think.
I mean, they are right now, technically. I mean, it's still early in the year, but like,
this Falcons team is not nearly as good as the Bucks or Saints.
Well, yeah, I don't think they are either. But I don't know. I think it's a realistic. Not realistic, but like it's a possible.
3 teams. You got at least 3 teams out of the NFC West that are all going to be competing for those spots.
NFC West. Okay.
Yeah. Not NFC West.
And 3 right now? Like, 49ers and Seahawks ain't looking too hot right now, dude.
Well, the Seahawks have their backup quarterback, and they just won. Pretty handedly.
That doesn't mean they're competing for a playoff spot right now.
It's Russell Wilson's coming back, I think, in 2 weeks. And I thought, if anything, I thought the 49ers was the third team JT was referring to. I think I was referring to
the Seahawks, but the 49ers could make noise.
I don't think they're completely out of it.
Yeah, they're not out of it. It's just,
I think
it's the muck right now, right?
What did you say, Lewis?
I think I like their chances better than the Falcons.
Yeah, everyone does.
The NFC West team better than the Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Frank's saying they're going to be competing for a playoff spot. To me,
I'm not think they're going to. It's a possibility. With their record, if they string together a few wins, it's easily a possibility they're fighting for the last spot.
I still don't think Calvin Ridley is coming back for that. I just think it's.
This is all speculation. Let's just
I'm putting out like a 1% chance he's coming back this year. So then you're banking on him coming back next season or
in a year or 2. That's the ideal scenario.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trading for him to come back in 2 seasons, like you're not. What are you giving up? Like, there's no point in giving up any kind of high draft capital if you're banking on him 2 seasons from now.
That's why I offered this. That's why I suggested the second rounder.
Well, you would have to legitimately expect, like, okay, he's out for the rest of the season, but he'll be back next season. That's the only way you're willing to give up that kind of draft capital, then, because if he's gone for 2 seasons, then you have a Calvin Ridley who's coming back as he's sneaky older than we think.
So what is he? Is he 26 now?
I think he's 26 now. So, but he's sneaky older. It's not like you could trade a second for him at that point. Then, yeah, he's 26 right now. 2 years from now, Calvin Ridley.
I'm confused where the 2 years from coming now. I don't understand what's going on.
So what I'm saying is, if you're giving up high draft capital, the late first, early second, kind of whatever you're considering right now, you need to be expecting that Calvin Ridley is coming back next season. Because if he's not coming back next season, that means you're going basically 1.5 fantasy football seasons.
You're expecting him to come back next year. Yes. I don't understand.
So that if you have any doubts in your mind that he's not coming back next season, you shouldn't be giving up any of that draft capital. Because then if he does come back in 2 seasons, then he's a 28-year-old and you just gave up that early second. When you could just trade that early second.
2 seasons bridge when it comes.
Sure.
I was more expecting you buy him now, he comes back next year.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
Or
what
I
you
guess he
think.
doesn't come back at all. I'm not worried about 3 seasons. Like at that point, fuck it.
So to you, you're just holding if someone's offering you an early second.
Dude, I would offer an early second for Calvin Ridley.
I think I'd take the early second for Calvin Ridley,
I think I would too.
especially if it's. Well, no, I'm not going to jump
It's
ahead. But
more
like,
just
let's just look at the 2022
I'm not
season.
saying like it won't happen, but I just don't want to deal with that. Like I'd rather just take my asset and go.
All right, let's do this game, because I think it's going to be the easiest way to determine.
Has this keep trade cut value been updated?
Probably not as drastically as it will be, but
Not like in
that's what I'm going to. I'm going to. What's the worst?
Yeah, this one's interesting because this is like a
receiver
top,
that you would
this
give
is a
up?
top 10 dynasty receiver.
He was, but as the season was going on, he was
Yeah,
not.
I still probably had him in my bottom top 10.
All right, so yeah, Calvin Ridley is currently wide receiver 28 on keep trade cut. That's only going to fall as the season continues and as we get more days ahead of where we've been. So obviously, Cortland Sutton, Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore. Are you taking Calvin Ridley over any of them?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
take-
hard. It's because it's so like impossible to judge. Like it's. until
I
you
wouldn't.
know
I don't think
gives
I'd
more
take him over
details.
Sutton. I'd rather have Sutton because I think that
Sutton
Sutton's
definitely
a
I'd
stud.
rather have.
I would take all three of those. But to be fair, Bateman and Rondale Moore were two of my top 5 receivers out of this 2021 draft class, and Cortland Sutton I'm just really high on. Those kind of an unfortunate 3 because I'm not low on any of those. Next 3 are Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett. Would you trade Calvin Ridley and pivot to any of those 3?
I'll take Elijah Moore, but I take Ridley over Thomas and Lockett.
Frank.
I think I'd take Ridley over like all 3 of them.
That's actually about where I think I'd take Elijah Moore over Ridley, but the other 2, I think.
The other 2 I'll take.
Obviously,
I
unless
don't
I'm
really
contending.
buy into this thing happening for multiple seasons.
I mean, only Calvin Ridley knows. I don't even know if
Calvin Ridley
knows
right
that.
now doesn't know what he's gonna do.
So it's an annoying situation, but I think you're better off pivoting off him now if you're going to end up doing it than later. Like if you wait 3 months till the off season, there's no like clear speculation as to whether or not Calvin Ridley is coming back. Like his value is just going to go down because you're going to have all the picks
Okay, yeah, but what if he
up.
comes back? His value skyrockets. Bang time. For another second, I'll take it.
Do you think he's announcing in like February that he's coming back?
I don't know when the fuck he's gonna announce, but I just think he's a good player that I'm getting at a really good price, and I'll buy him expecting he comes back next season and be happy about it. I mean, I just bought Cam Akers for a first. I'd gladly buy Calvin Ridley for a second.
Cam Akers, at least is like coming back. Like he's got.
Yeah, but I'm buying Calvin Ridley assuming he's coming back. I'm not like, oh, well, I'm gonna buy him and then worry about like I'm gonna buy him for an early second, keep him on the roster. If not, I'm not gonna lose sleep over an early second round pick.
All right, let's wrap a bow on this. What's the most, Frank, you are trading for Calvin Ridley?
Probably an early second. I think for a first. I just don't want to give up a first right now for him. I like the flashiness and the sexiness of the first round pick. It's very liquid. I think, not that I don't think that's a bad deal, and I think that's what it's going to take to get it done.
But that seems to be the issue because you just said earlier that you're not giving up Calvin Ridley for a second, but you will want to give up a first for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I don't think
there'll be some owners out there that take an early second for him.
There could be a spot. It could be a spot like when Cam Akers initially got injured, where you give a first for Calvin Ridley and something else, like a third. Right, that was the popular trade at the time. Cam Akers for a first for Cam Akers and a third. Maybe something like that happens, and if you really like Calvin Ridley like I do, I think it makes sense. I also do think partly it depends on your team. Do you have a team that if you just blow up a first round pick, that you still have a really strong roster and a really strong chance? Or are you really banking on this first round pick to be a big part of your squad and it's a large percentage of your value? I think you have to take that into account as well, because if you're putting a lot of eggs in the Calvin Ridley basket, I'm not sure I want to do that. But if you're a team, let's say you're like my team in our home league, where you have a receiving core of like Keenan Allen, Lockett, Cooper Kupp, like just a bunch of vets, and you want to add another possible solid ass talent, go ahead. Why not? I really don't see the issue.
I think my one last counter to that, though, is there are some very solid wide receivers that you could probably snag in the later half of the first round of this.
Yes, and
So
that is definitely a concern. So, if you're assuming that he's going to stay out for the entire season, maybe you wait on it and wait for his value to drop more and for the draft pick values to increase before you do it.
I can kind of skip ahead here for a second. I didn't put this on the doc, but speaking of wide receivers in the 2022 class, Drake London had they call it similar to a Dak Prescott injury. He had a fractured ankle, leg kind of thing and did not look good. Definitely out for the rest of the season. I don't know if he'll be back in time for the start of the NFL season. But he's someone that I'm going to keep my eye on and kind of hope that he ends up falling in the draft a little bit due to this.
Yeah.
And that I could
Him and Pickens are really interesting because you can make an argument that in terms of raw talent, they're two at the top, right? And they've both missed. Well, Drake London, I think, has a little bit more hype. Pickens, the Devy guys will definitely still be into him from what he showed. Lounis, you got to stop touching your mic, bro. Come on, dude.
I got you.
You hear that, JT? You hear that, right? He said, "I got you," and immediately starts touching it again.
Well, I think that he was trying to fix it.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you
I'm sorry,
on
Lounis.
that. All right. All right. And then today we're recording this on trade deadline day. The story of deadline day was basically nothing happened. Like no big Deshaun Jackson, I guess, got released. There are some random trades here and there.
Apparently, people are victory lapping Tua. Like, his starting job didn't get taken. Everyone rejoiced. Lounis was saying that there was some guy tweeting like, "Congrats to all the people that bought Tua."
Who bought low on Tua?
Listen, all I'm saying is I put the bait over Jake. Ask him after how he bought Tua this offseason, how he's feeling.
Yeah, well, that was this offseason. I mean, we're kind of killing Tua to death here in this stuff. I still think I'm a Tua believer, but the Dolphins make it so hard. They make it so hard to believe in Tua.
They don't believe in him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they don't believe in him, like, why should I?
That's what makes me lower on him.
Dude, there is no buy low on Tua. There hasn't been a buy low on Tua. You've had to shell out first-round picks plus probably, or a good first-round pick to buy him this entire time.
Yeah,
there's too many Tua truthers.
So speaking of Tua, the reason we're talking about Tua, Deshaun Watson not traded. Who knows we've killed his situation to death. Like, we don't know what's happening. People always talk on Twitter. They act like they know. They don't know. Interesting other developments from today. OBJ's dad put out like a 15-minute clip of Baker Mayfield just not passing it to OBJ.
You know what's the funny thing that I saw later? Rashard Higgins liked the post.
There are a couple of Browns players.
I mean, Baker has not been playing well, but this just seems to be the story with Baker. He's just a really streaky kind of a quarterback. Like
him and OBJ have just never developed that chemistry. I don't know why they haven't, but they just.
The part that makes it even crazy is like they kind of making it seem like there's tension between them now. I'm like, I feel like they just haven't been on the same page, but that they like each other, like they want to make it work. That's what I've gotten from everything. But
OBJ. I'm not going to try and get in the head of OBJ. He's just.
I mean, at the same time, like though, if we're being honest, if OBJ's on another team, I think he's going back to being a 1,000-yard receiver.
I mean, if you put him on the Bucks, like.
Not even on the Bucks. I mean, even like put OBJ on the Raiders, he has over 1,000 yards.
Put him on the Texans. He doesn't put him on the freaking Eagles. I don't think he will. I think there's a lot of teams where he doesn't have over 1,000 yards. I'm not even sure on the Patriots if he have over 1,000 yards. I like OBJ, but like he needs to like have a serious turnaround for him to be good.
I feel like everyone's been waiting for him to change teams for like years. Because I remember this discussion like 2 years ago about like trading OBJ from the Browns. It still hasn't happened. He has a huge contract. Does anyone know when that contract's up? He's a free agent again.
No,
It's gotta be soon because
It has to be.
Giants
I mean, the
traded
Giants gave it to him right before they
Odell.
traded him, right?
yeah. Oh well.
I still value OBJ relatively the same. Like, I didn't love him at his peak and his hype, but now it's like everyone's hating on him so much. Like, if you're able to buy him at his keep trade cut value, that's great. Like, I think that's a really good little deal.
He's still 4 years under contract with the Browns after this season.
He won't be a free agent until 2024 when he's 32.
But here's the thing: this is the last season where the Browns couldn't cut him. So if they wanted to save, because he's getting paid $15 million over the next 2 years,
I think
if they wanted to save the
and
cap
Hunt.
room, they can cut him after this season.
Him and Hunt will probably be cap casualties.
I'm not sure Kareem Hunt will be, dude. I think they really like him.
I don't know if Kareem Hunt
Oh.
will be. I think Odell will be one.
I just
Yes.
don't believe this is true. You could trade like Jamal Williams for OBJ straight up.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I don't think that's true.
Fuck no.
That's what Keep Trade Cut's saying. There's no way he's that value. But
I just think that like there's blame on both of them, but right now, like especially against that Steelers game, it's not like OBJ had a ton of chances in the one. I think it was just
That
a
would have
deep
been a tough
post,
catch.
or
Yeah, people are sitting
um,
on him. That's a tough catch.
maybe it was a corner post. I'm kind of forgetting the exact route,
It
but
was a deep post. Yeah.
I mean, Baker threw it late. And I mean, I actually commend Baker because everyone's saying, oh, it's behind him. He's trying not to lead him into the safety. So, I mean, Baker's done a good job of that, right? And Higgins, that's the other guy. It's funny, he liked the post that he hasn't been on the same page with. You can say, oh, he threw that pass 2 yards behind him. Yeah, well, if you look at it, there's a massive Steelers linebacker or Terrell Edmonds or someone who are just headhunting out there. What, you want Baker to lead him into him and throw a hospital pass? No, they're just not. They need that extra chemistry. Baker is kind of just a little hesitant. He just needs to go out there, put his nuts on the table, and Stefanski's got to let him go out there and just rip it, dude. Call a deep freaking levels concept or something right out the gates where he can throw a juicy corner right off the bat and get his confidence up and let him, because like when he was doing good last year, he wasn't thinking as much. I mean, he's reading the corner and he just lets it rip, right? Right now, it looks like he's thinking a lot. He's in his own head. It feels like he's trying to be game manager Baker. I don't want game manager Baker. I want gunslinger Baker.
well, I love Baker at the end of the game when he ran for that and got knocked out of bounds. And
Yeah, then he
ran
got
10
up
yards
and
down the
just-
sideline.
Yeah, people are shitting on him
That's
for
the
not
fiery
throwing a
Baker.
one-on-one slot fade on that play. I mean, I agree with you guys. Why do you want him to throw the slot fade there? But then on the early downs, don't hesitate and throw it deep. I think it's a combination of what, if you're on Twitter, what both people are saying.
This is also an incredibly injured Bengals team. Like all of the players. Browns. Incredibly injured Browns team. All the players at some point have been injured, knocked out game, missed games.
Baker's still playing injured.
Yeah, he's playing injured. All of them are like playing injured basically.
Yeah, OBJ is too. Yeah, they're all fucking hurt.
So I don't know. It's the same story last season too. I think if they could finally stay healthy is the real question, but who knows?
I
Speaking
think
of
they'll
health-
figure it out.
Speaking of health, Frank, how you like this transition? We're going into the injury news. Probably the biggest story, also the funniest story. Jameis Winston.
That video, bro.
Jameis Winston tore his ACL. It came out, but you gotta look up if you haven't seen it already. I'm pretty sure everyone.
That video
has.
is amazing.
But look up Jameis Winston after the Saints beat the Bucks. They're dancing in the locker room. You got the Saints players dancing. All of a sudden, the camera pans, and we got Jameis on crutches, hopping
going
around,
in.
dancing. Yeah. All-time video. I don't know.
I'm gonna play it.
Okay, I'll speak. Well, will there be sound on the YouTube video? I don't know.
I just turned it off. I mean, there was a little bit of
Okay.
sound for a second.
Okay, I could talk over it, I guess, while people watch. I don't know
glorious.
what the Saints are gonna do. Sounds like Trevor Siemian over.
So
Taysom
is
Hill.
it gonna be Simeon or Taysom Hill?
I think it's weird that we've gone.
I think it's gonna be Taysom Hill.
It's weird that we've gone from the conversation of Taysom Hill to Jameis to now, like we're even considering Trevor Siemian first.
He didn't look terrible.
Taysom Hill.
Look when he played. That's why.
Dude, this
But, like,
camera pan
everyone-
is hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, he's
It's one of the
dancing
best
on
camera
crutches.
turnarounds ever.
Just look at this face. Look at this face. He's just like, dude, what is going on?
I know the
You
teammate
see
flipped the camera was like, oh
just going
shit.
crazy. That is so good. I watched this video on repeat for like a good 15 minutes the other day.
I don't get. I mean, for people listening on podcasts, you're just gonna have to look it up. It's a great video. Definitely
It's
worth
amazing.
watching. But yeah, I don't know. Does this really affect the Saints team a whole lot? I feel like not really.
Dude, if Taysom Hill is playing, he's gonna be like another little Jalen Hurts out there.
It's not great. That's not great for Kamara if Taysom Hill's playing, because we've seen this.
No, but if Michael Thomas comes back, that's huge for Michael Thomas.
Yeah, he likes his Michael Thomas.
Well, it's just what I was saying in the offseason was, I watched a lot of Taysom Hill actually when I did my Taysom Hill film analysis, and one of the things that I found really that just jumped off the screen for me personally was Taysom Hill wants to throw the ball on a line. He wants to throw. He probably played baseball when he was growing up because he looks like he's throwing a baseball out there. He wants a nice little alley to throw the ball, clean little pocket, and he wants to rifle in passes. He doesn't want to have to make that throw over a linebacker under a safety, throw over a D-back on a deep over route into space. He wants to freaking put all the mustard he can on a football. And that's exactly what Michael Thomas's strong suit is, a lot of in-breaking routes, that delayed slant, right? That where you're faking a fade or a go, and then you go on a slant or a deep dig. And I mean, they played really well together. They put up some good numbers. I think if they come back at the same time, Michael Thomas could definitely be like that buy low pickup that a lot of people on Twitter think he is.
But not for Calvin Ridley, according to us. I still wouldn't trade Calvin Ridley for Michael Thomas. But
yeah, I don't know what to think of Michael Thomas. I'm interested to see him. Like, has there been any update on which week specifically?
No, all I've heard is not soon. That was like a week ago. I heard not soon.
I don't know. I never really loved Michael Thomas. He's definitely a good player, but I don't know. It's one of those scenarios where the people that have him aren't going to like give him away for cheap. Like they're still asking for like a pretty decent price, probably something higher than what Keep Trade Cut would suggest. So I haven't really tried, but I also am not really looking to trade for him.
Most of these Saints players kind of felt like unattractive buys and whatnot for the season and everything. So and they don't feel great when you're starting them. So I don't know how much this really affects them because I think they're just still in that same boat.
I don't think I think that if someone likes him and thinks that he's a buy low, I'm not going to be the dude that says, "Oh, that's stupid. Don't do that." I'm just going to be not doing that. And if I had him, I think I'd still be looking to sell him.
I would rather first in 2022, 2023, 2024 than Michael Thomas.
Same. He's just one of those guys. I'm sure there is a chance he comes back and he plays well again, but I just don't want to deal with that. Like it's just I'd rather the other assets that are equivalent.
All right. Speaking of quarterbacks getting injured, I don't really know that the timeline on this is that extensive. He might even be playing this week, but Sam Darnold got concussed.
He got
rocked. Yeah, he got rocked
on like 2 consecutive plays too. I don't know if you saw the play before.
Yeah.
Like 2 straight plays, he got his share rocked, which is kind of crazy. Like we've seen some of like the really weak rough in the passer calls that have been called, like the one on Kyler, the one on Matt Ryan, and then like neither of those are
guys
called
getting
for anything.
rocked though. Yeah, neither of those, and then you had Frank's guy and Chris Boswell just getting lit.
Oh my god, he got destroyed on the sideline.
That was a fake field goal, and then your kicker's out for the game. And then the punter,
going
the punter
back to
had to come
Darnold
in.
though, because I actually think this is kind of a big deal for Darnold because all his good games have been when he's been able to move the ball with his legs. I think that like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when he got into that big rut, I felt like Joe Brady and the offensive staff were trying to be like, yo, Sammy D, stop scrambling so much. Try to throw more from the pocket. That clearly didn't work. And then this week they were just like, all right, fuck it. Like, you have to run. You have to run for us to have success. And then he gets destroyed. Like, if he's playing this week and he's not running around and getting yards beyond the line of scrimmage with his legs, I'm not fucking playing him.
So the one thing I will say to his benefit, he is going to get McCaffrey back either this week or next week, which shows those checkdowns give him a quick extra 10 completions, 100 yards a game.
Well, the headline for McCaffrey was he may or may not play in week 9 and 10.
No, I didn't like how Sleeper did that alert. So pretty much what Matt Rule said was he said they're hopeful he'll play this week. If not this week, then he's going to play next week. So one of the next 2 weeks.
He may or may not.
That was definitely not a great notification. I think
it's just, what the fuck is the point of that? Why do you have to buzz my phone saying, oh, Christian McCaffrey may or may not play in weeks 9 and 10? It's like, well, no fucking shit. Those are the two possible options. I don't need that.
Well, so similar to Sleeper and Jake, I've got like a profound statement for you guys. Where
Sleeper and Jake.
Yeah. Well, we had Jake last episode.
What was the thing he said earlier today?
Oh, I don't know. Regardless, Sam Darnold's still auditioning for, like, I know he got his 5th year exercised with the Panthers, so he'll be back next season. But like
the Panthers had interest in Watson.
Yeah, he's auditioning for the starting role, and you've got PJ Walker there, who's obviously not great, but like there wasn't really a significant decrease in play from PJ Walker and Darnold, so not looking great.
5th year option means fucking nothing. That was just something to get him on the field and playing. If he sucks, they're gonna get rid of him. And if there's a good quarterback on the board when they're picking, they're taking that dude. I mean, Sam Darnold might still play to be like the bridge quarterback, but
I mean,
don't
Jimmy G.
Dude, it's the classic bait, right? If you're buying Sam Darnold because you're like, oh, well, they took the 5th year option, he has to be the long-term answer. Bro, this isn't even a year-to-year league. This is a week-to-week league, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the 5th year option isn't really anything. They haven't given him a big contract.
No.
Like they haven't given him that big new 4-year extension. So
I don't think he's getting it.
I don't think so.
I'd be very surprised if he did.
He'd have to play really well at the end of this year and then see how this offseason goes. Because I think ultimately the big thing is Watson.
If they're not making the playoffs, there's no way he's getting.
I don't know. I just think that like you kind of missed the boat to sell Darnold. I hate to say it like that, and especially if you have Darnold and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with him. Like that's kind of like a bullshitty answer. But fact of the matter is that I'm not I don't want to be the guy with Darnold on my roster right now. I am looking to move him, package him something. I'm just out on him.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at this point because everyone hates him.
Everyone
you have to hold.
I think one thing you could do if you have a later trade deadline, like I said, McCaffrey's come back. They're gonna have their full offense again. You hope for maybe a good 2-3 game stretch where he plays well.
Yeah, but the thing is that his price might have gone so low that it's like he's a starting quarterback and he's just worth holding on to see if he becomes a bridge guy.
I'm pretty sure he also does not have a very friendly next 2 to 3 weeks, because he has the Patriots this week, and then he has the Cardinals.
Yikes.
And then he's got the Washington football team, which could be good. Who knows? But I don't know.
Okay.
2-2.
Let's
go 2-2.
2-2 Atwell. Surprise, the 150-pound guy got injured. Shoulder injury. He's ending his season with surgery. I don't know.
I'm surprised they're cutting Deshaun. Do you think Deshaun getting cut was like his request? Because I figured with Atwell injury, you think it was Deshaun's request?
Yeah, he said it. He wanted more playing time.
Okay.
The emergence of Van Jefferson and obviously Stafford just targeting for Cup every other passing play has kind of done Deshaun Jackson in on them. Kind of a side tangent. I think he's going to go ring chasing to one of the top competitive teams. I don't really see him ending up.
I mean, he's close with Andy Reid. They're still friends, so I could see Kansas City. I still think Vegas is in the equation because I could see them looking out for a speedy receiver to fill the role. Plus, he'll get to kind of stay out on the West Coast. I'm pretty sure it's where like he grew up and everything. So I wouldn't put them fully out of question. But I can't see the Chiefs because of Andy Reid.
I mean, it's kind of surprising that they cut him right after Tutu gets hurt, but like it wasn't like Tutu was really stealing snaps from Deshaun Jackson. Not great for Tutu. I wouldn't say this does him in, but he's not going to have a lot of value in trading wise, and I don't know. It's just not going to be fun trying to sell him or move off him during the offseason. I feel like he's just going to be a hold. But at this point, I'd be expecting him to be worth nothing in 2 years rather than anything special.
I'm looking to get Tutu as throw-ins, dude. I want Tutu Atwell.
Just, yeah, I think the signs are all pointing towards him.
That's fine. I'm gonna try and pick him up as throw-ins in bigger deals.
I mean, yeah, if he's
Preferably
throw-ins,
Tutu.
he's fine.
I mean, throw-ins. Yeah, preferably Tutu Atwell is someone you just want to be able to keep on your taxi for a while.
That's
Like,
what I'm
that's
saying.
kind
I
of-
just think he's a hold at this. Like you're just gonna have to hold him and hope. I just don't see it happening.
I thought of Tutu Atwell as a very developmental prospect coming in, and I liked him. So, I mean, I liked
fair.
him more so
Yeah, but-
like as the offseason went on. I didn't draft him in rookie drafts, but I did pick up a share of him for a projected late third. Obviously, I look like a fool with that deal now, but I still really like Tutu.
Yeah,
I have him on a taxi, so I'm very happy about that. He's going to be staying on there for the 2 years or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, a late third's a late third. If you can
right
get a
next to
decent
Van
pick on it.
Jefferson.
Well, yeah. All right. That's our injury news, though. I guess I'll kick us off with the Devy. This is actually, I'll fill in for Jake's role. This is a game that I watched pretty intently. We had 2 players that I pretty much liked from this game. Obviously, we've talked about Kenneth Walker before, but I think we have to mention him again because he went off against Michigan, which was a top 5 defense in college football.
He was going crazy.
They went like 5 or 6 weeks into the season, the college football season, without ever being behind, like without ever taking a snap from behind. And you had Kenneth Walker running all over them. His final stat line was 23 carries for 197 yards and 5 touchdowns. 5.
It felt like more yards, to be honest, watching the game.
Yeah.
It felt like he had 43 carries for 500 yards.
Yeah, he couldn't be stopped. I feel like he's now solidified himself as the running back 3 from this class. I mean, only the NFL draft will probably predict who's going after.
Who's
Breece
the
Hall and
consensus
Spiller.
1 and 2 right now?
Breece Hall and Spiller. I don't think that will be changing at all.
Breece Hall and Spiller.
Yeah, it's funny. You have
I
all
could
these.
see people moving Walker up to their top 2.
Yeah,
you're
I could
taking
definitely
bait.
see that.
I've already
I
seen a
agree
few
with
places.
you, though. Everyone's saying that, like, oh, if you like Javonte, you're gonna love Kenneth Walker. I don't know what that means because, like,
They're not similar.
yeah, they're not very similar at all. Okay, they break tackles, but
That's
like,
really the
cool.
only
That's like
similarity.
really, really
It's the only
surface level
similarity.
analysis. I thought that Kenneth Walker looked really good. He's raw though. A lot of his runs, like he definitely lit up the stat sheet, and he was really good forcing missed tackles and whatnot, and doing his thing. But it wasn't really pretty. It was a lot of runs where it's a zone run and he ends up running into the back of his offensive lineman, turning around, juking some dude out and going 20 yards. And I mean, it's both good and bad, right? Okay, bad that he just ran into the back of his offensive lineman instead of finding a crease initially. Good that he was able to like juke out 2 guys and make it a positive play. He almost feels like ETN to a certain extent, right?
I think I saw Le'Veon Bell comparisons.
Yeah, everyone's I've seen every single running back in this class get comped to Le'Veon Bell. How many fucking Le'Veon Bells are there? I do not think he's Le'Veon Bell at all. I still need to watch a lot more of Kenneth Walker, but from when I was watching the game, I was kind of thinking to myself, there's some good signs here. A team will definitely take a shot on him with relevant draft capital, and he's going to test physically pretty damn well. But I'm really not seeing as much polish as I was hoping to.
To me, I think it's very clear. You've got Breece Hall and Spiller top 2. I flip back and forth over which one I want to be my top 1. And then you've got the next guys in Walker, Charbonnet, Kyron Williams from Notre Dame? Is that his name, right?
Yeah.
There's just a few other guys that are kind of like the next guys. And I think the draft will, as it does every year, bump some of those guys up, bump some of those guys down. We'll see what happens when the season gets to the 2022 season. But for now, I think you're taking the bait if you think Walker's over Breece Hall or Spiller.
Yeah, I'm just once again, I have to grind tape on these dudes, and the season's still not over. I'm not sure I have Kenneth Walker going as high as any of the top three backs last year.
As in like a. Well, what
Yeah,
do you mean?
I'm just not sure he's like a top 40 pick.
In the
Or
NFL draft, you're saying?
Yeah, in the NFL draft.
Okay.
Oh, he's definitely a top 40 rookie pick.
No,
definitely a top 40 rookie pick.
When you said those first words, though, I wasn't sure what we were talking about.
How he does in those end of season big matchups and like his bowl game is gonna like we see how much those can like drive up someone's draft stock. Whether like even if some of it's sometimes too reactionary, it's gonna have an impact. Like we saw it boost Najee at the very end last year, Devontae Smith.
I'm not even sure what teams are going to be taking these running backs though, because I mean, even with last year, you saw teams that we thought like definitely needed running backs, and like the Atlanta Falcons, and then all of a sudden,
I don't think anyone is.
The Dolphins
Cordell Patterson's just good.
I don't think anyone is.
We thought the Dolphins should be last year too.
Well, the Dolphins reports where they really wanted Javonte, but they got jumped.
They just missed out.
They did get jumped, yeah.
And they, for some reason, they were like, "Oh, we can't take a running back at 20, but we can take one at 30." And it's like, okay,
they were super high. They were super high on ETN too, right? Was that?
They wanted any of those top three backs. I don't think they gave a fuck which one it was.
All right.
Like Carter was just chilling there, like "fuck you too, man."
Basically,
someone else I want to talk about from this game, Andrel Anthony from Michigan. He's actually from nearby high schools. He's from like the Michigan area. He had 6 catches, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. Most of those yards came off like a 90-something yard touchdown pass, which he took to the house very fast. He's a freshman, I believe. Just someone to keep your eye on. I don't know how good he actually will be, but he topped when I was watching him. I'd write him down.
He had a good day.
He hasn't really been productive outside of today, but he's also a freshman. And my issue is Michigan wide receivers normally go there to die, so we'll see. We also have the 2024 picks, Frank.
Oh yeah, I put out a tweet. I said that now we move on. We move on to the 2024 draft. We are marching ahead and gathering our collection of picks there because
I love you,
dude. I like this draft class a lot. I think that there are some really, really solid players in the 2024 class. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm looking a little bit far ahead, but like every single position seems to have top tier players.
Yeah, we were talking before together. Travion Henderson, we really like. There's a lot of quarterbacks that you like. Caleb Williams.
Williams.
Yeah, there's that Syracuse back too, who's pretty good. Yeah, and then there's Brock Bowers, the Georgia tight end.
You like the Ohio State quarterback that's not currently starting?
Oh, Quinn Ewers. Yes, Quinn Ewers is a beast. Apparently, there's good. Seems to be good receivers every class, but there are a couple of receivers, mainly that Texas dude, who have been like really outplaying their age. Right? You look at other NFL players, their age, like they've been outplaying the production metrics. So it's just. Listen, I'm not saying go out and sell everything for 2024 picks, but if for some reason you can get them at a discount, it's like, oh, I want my 2022 first, but I'll give you the 2024 one. Like, yeah, I'm looking to do that all day. Yeah. Give it to me. Oh, yeah, 2024. Fuck yeah.
It's also the time of it, 3 years down the road, people are definitely much more willing to part with those picks.
Yeah.
You have to make sure your league is a stable league, though, and that you know it will be around in 2024. That's just a gimme. All right. Moving on to our next segment, contender buys at wide receiver. Last week we did tight ends. This week we're talking wide receivers. Frank, you have your guy that you love. Why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, I said to buy him a couple weeks ago. I actually just bought him off Lounis in the 3rd and 20 league. I really like Hunter Renfrow. Maybe his price has jumped a little bit because of the Henry Ruggs news. I really doubt it that it makes a tangible difference at the end of the day.
I think that price is probably mostly affecting Edwards.
Yes. But to me, Hunter Renfrow is having a really good season. He's having a great year 3. I think that he's poised for a lot of future success as well. This role that he has in the NFL is with guys like Cooper Kupp and whatchamacallit, Cole Beasley and whatnot. I seem to like and have all these dudes in my fantasy leagues, and I think that they're just kind of like cheap fantasy points compared to their alpha counterparts. Um, I just think he's like the cheapest 120 targets you're going to get.
That's very fair. He's been having a good year, and I think he's going to play a little bit better without Ruggs there. I don't think he's going to have like some kind of like crazy impact, but I mean, Ruggs was like, that's a solid like 60 to 70 receiving yards a game that's now gone.
I just think that
so
his
I like that.
upside is so underrated.
What's his price right now at?
I don't know, but I feel like in a lot of leagues you can pick him up with a second round pick, and
With like a mid-second, yeah. Which if I'm I don't hate that at all.
like an early second, I'm not sure I love, and come draft time, you might regret that move a little bit. That's why I kind of like doing more of a player deal for Renfrow. Like you move off of a more hyped player, pick up draft capital, and a Renfrow. That's the type of deal that I would more so like to do than necessarily going out and buying Renfrow for mid and early second round picks. But
the 5 players he's ranked around on Keep Trade Cut are Alexander Masson, Jared Goff, Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, Chris Carson.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm having Renfrow over all those dudes. Maybe Carson's interesting though, because he's just a guy that clearly has the talent. He just can't stay on the field. Yeah, I have no idea. I saw enough Twitter doctors panic on Chris Carson to where I am now like, you know what? Maybe you're right. I have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. The next contender buy. I think this is
Hopkins.
I can just do my 3 in a row here because I kind of have like a mid, a high, and a low. So a buy high for me, DeAndre Hopkins. This is more so going off of his Keep Trade Cut rank than anything. But I think that DeAndre Hopkins, if you're looking for a cream of the crop receiver, is a really good little buy high right now. It's kind of like a buy high on one of the top receivers that's underperforming, right? I'm not sure people realize as much as they should that he's been playing really hurt. Last game, I'm not sure if you guys remember, I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, where there was the game where Keenan Allen was like, oh yeah, start me. And then he only played third downs and barely did much.
Yes.
That's kind of what was happening with DeAndre Hopkins the last game. He was really only playing third downs and like crucial downs. Other than that, it was the other guys like Rondale Moore had an increased role. Christian Kirk and AJ Green were getting targets, and AJ Green pass blocked on the last play. I think that DeAndre Hopkins still has a lot left in the tank. Once he gets healthy, we're going to see D-Hop be D-Hop again. And what's even better about buying D-Hop is that I think that he'll have a lot of relevance next year and the year after as well. So like you're not only getting a good little playoff push player, but I think that you're getting a good player for like the nearer couple of years to like have as your stud receiver or to pair with like a CD Lamb or something.
Well, I agree with that, Frank, except if I could jump in here with one of my guys who I'm going to type in right now, I think there's one other guy that I would rather have at like just a slightly lower price point that's kind of in the same realm of everything that you were saying, other than the I don't think he's playing hurt currently. That's Mike Evans on the Bucks. I just think he's another one that he'll still have relevance after this year. He's another one that's consistently a wide receiver 1. We've seen him perform. I actually had him as a sit this week against the Saints because the previous 4 games against the Saints, he's done absolutely nothing. We saw him flip that around and score against the Saints this week. I just think Mike Evans, he's rated lower on Keep Trade Cut than DeAndre Hopkins, which is fair, but he's also rated lower than a bunch of other players that I would rather have Mike Evans over. Michael Pittman is one. This is going to hate this, but Chris Godwin, I'd rather have Mike Evans than Chris Godwin. Jalen Wall, obviously Devontae Smith, I'd rather have Mike Evans than Devontae Smith. Jalen Wall is kind of close. But these are all receivers that are currently ranked well and above Mike Evans that you can pivot down if you have one of these guys and you're a contender, you could pivot from a Jalen Waddle, get plus on top of Mike Evans, and be a competitor, or at least like strengthen your core. Because while Jalen Waddle's been performing this season, sorry to kind of just derail it, that's without a different receiver who's going to come back. Look at how I tie it all together, who might be a good buy low, and that Jalen Waddle seeing a very high concentration of targets. So, Frank, who was your other buy low?
Okay, so my buy low, I think, is Will Fuller.
Yeah.
There are a lot of reasons why I don't like the Dolphins' offense, but the fact of the matter is, and this is both a plus for Tua and Will Fuller and kind of the offense in general, is that they do pass the ball a lot. I don't like Tua because I don't think his long-term outlook is very good. And I don't think that he's like one of those top cream of the crop quarterbacks that other people think he is. But he can still put up stats because they throw the ball a ton, and they throw the ball at like top half of the NFL rates, I'm pretty sure. And if they don't, a lot of that is probably because they had Jacoby Brissett playing and were kind of forced to run the ball more. So the stats may be a little deceiving there. When Will Fuller comes back in a pass-happy offense, we've seen him be a wide receiver one before, albeit only in short stretches. You're picking him up for pennies right now. It seems like if you can pick him up at his keep trade cut value, that's a phenomenal little deal. You can pick him up now, stash him on your IR until he comes back, and then when he comes back, maybe you have a little mid-tier wide receiver 2 for a playoff push. I'm not saying that everyone would sell him low, but it feels like he's been not relevant long enough to where there are people that are starting to just say, hey, maybe it's time to move on from Will Fuller and just pick up anything I can for him.
I agree. I think his price is at an all-time low. I remember JT when we checked 2 weeks ago, it was already ridiculously low, and it can't have gone up since then. I'm not sure what exactly he's around now.
I got it for you, but yeah, it's super low.
So I'm with you. I mean, the thing with him has always just been being on the field, because I feel like whenever he plays, he's productive, and I do agree with you. I think that's helped Waddle, him being out. Even though I do still really like Waddle, I don't mean that as a slight towards him. It's just Will Fuller is an insanely talented receiver, and if you really want to get into your conspiracy bag, the Watson trade does happen this offseason. Will Fuller's still there. They have pretty good chemistry together.
Wait, hold on. I can't find my conspiracy bag. Where did it go?
I was gonna do that same bit.
We need like the sound effect, like
his keep trade cut value is akin to Gabriel Davis, Mecole Hardman, Ronald Jones, Logan Thomas.
Yeah, it's low.
Oh wait, why is Logan Thomas down there too?
Well, that's the redraft effective. Well,
yeah. So here's a deal that's interesting that you're losing on keep trade cut is a 2022 late second for Will Fuller and a 2022 late third. Not saying that that's the exact deal you do, but somewhere along the lines of that, where you're kind of pick swapping and picking up a Will Fuller, I think that's a good little deal.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
So yeah, that's an example of something that I would try to do to the Will Fuller owners. I'm not sure, or rosters. I'm not sure you'd actually be able to get that, but it's worth a shot if you need a flex play.
The one other player I wanted to toss in there was Antonio Brown, also another buck. Just there's so many reasons why I think he's similar to Mike Evans. Like you're tied to Tom Brady. This is a team that's going to be competing for the playoffs. He's a mid to late second, but I gotta feel like if you're snagging him from a rebuilding / retooling team, you could get him for less. Just because he's that kind of guy, though, that like you gotta be sure you're a contender. Because I mean, he's going to be heading into his age 33 season. Chances are he's not going to be that great that much longer. But at least for just this season and just for someone as a contender, like he's someone that I'm going out and snagging. I think a late second should do it in most leagues.
Does the injury concern you?
No, he's out for a bye week. I think they're saying that he might be coming back next week. Even then, I just really need him for the weeks, 14,
for
15,
playoffs,
16.
Really.
Yeah, the thing is that if I'm the Bucks, I'm just kind of saying like, listen, dude, just chill out. We don't know. Like, obviously, they'd like him to be there, but
Uh, uh, which is fair, but you're gonna want him sooner than later because if you're gonna want to try and get that bye, where they have 2 losses now. That oh, did we lose Frank? I don't know if we lost Frank or if he just dipped. But you want to get you want to get the first overall seed because that it gives you a bye, and you're going to be the only team with a bye. I think even the second seed's okay because they're playing a bad team. So to me, I just think
No, I mean that's fair.
they're going
No,
to have to start
when
the
he's
players.
when he's
Yeah.
played this year, he's been super productive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally the only. But I think they. My guess is he's probably back week 11, week 12. Which, if anything, probably lowers his price a little bit more, makes it easier. Because really, you're right. Like you're buying him if you're a contender, you're buying him for weeks 13 through 17. So I'm with you, especially if you can get kind of a later second. I like it. That passing offense is ridiculous. It has all three receivers. Like we were debating which one would be the one to suck, and all of the three on like a per game basis wide receiver ones.
I mean, dude, they pass the ball a shit ton.
I know. No, I just think it was funny because all of us were debating like, oh, AB's gonna have the down year, Godwin's gonna have the down year. And all three of them are great this year. Like AB's points per game is like a top 10. Godwin's like wide receiver 7 this year. Evans is in the top 10 somewhere. Yeah, Godwin's 7. Let's see where Evans is. And it's just half PPR. Evans has had wide receiver 8. Like it's been an insane offense. So I'm with you on that. My buy low was Brandin Cooks.
What are you paying for Brandin Cooks?
If I'm a contender, if I'm a playoff team,
would you give a first for him?
I'd pay an early second for him, which on Keep Trade Cut is valued slightly ahead of Brandin Cooks. I would pay an early second for Brandin Cooks. Okay. I think he's going to have a strong rest of the season. He's wide receiver 17 and with 6 weeks of Davis Mills. The first 2 weeks with Tyrod Taylor, who's coming back, he put up, I think, like 16 and 18 and a half points. I just think, like, well, first off, he's the oldest 28-year-old of all time. But it's just, he's been able to stay healthy this year. And it's taking an early second. He's been a high-end wide receiver too, and I think he's going to be that for the rest of the year. Borderline low-end wide receiver 1 numbers. So someone like that you can just plug into your lineup for a good second. I would do that. I can in our league because I feel like I'm not going to be able to get it for an early second. But the consensus online is that you can.
I think I would wait to the offseason to get him.
That's fair.
Like a contender move, though. I think. Let me put it this way. I'd much rather pay whatever the price is on Brandin Cooks and ride him out into the postseason than I would Cooper Kupp. Because I just know while Cooper Kupp is the wide receiver 1, he's infinitely
his price
more
is,
than Brandin Cooks.
His price is ridiculous, yeah.
To be honest, I think when we get to the end of the season and where things are going, I think Cooper Kupp will have better numbers, but I don't think it'll be enough.
Well, dude, I just did the math in my head. I'm pretty sure it would take you 5 Brandin Cookses to get a Cooper Kupp right now.
Probably, yeah. And I think
Brandin, the math in your head.
I think Brandin Cooks for this last stretch of the season with Tyrod Taylor back, I think he can put up like top 12, top 10, lower end numbers.
Yeah. There's a huge difference between wide receiver 1 overall and wide receiver like 15, but I don't think Cooper Kupp is actually the wide receiver 1 for the rest of the season. I'm sorry, call me a Cooper Kupp hater, but I
mean, he's top 5.
We're gonna see that.
You're a hater.
I think he's top 5. I just think there are a bunch of guys in that. Jamar Chase is in that discussion. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, between them. But yeah, I like Brandin. If you can get Brandin Cooks for a good early second, and you're trying to make a championship push, I would pull the trigger on that.
Okay. Looks like final segment of the day.
The only thing is with Brandin Cooks, I'm sorry to keep this going, is that like I feel like everyone thinks he's a buy low. So he's not a buy low. That's my only problem.
Well, I just think here's the thing. If he's not on another contender, I feel like most rebuilding, retooling teams will take the early second for him. The only way you're getting a no from that is if he's already on a contender's team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is why I think you have to give a first for him. Unfortunately, it's like it's like Tyler Lockett.
I think what separates him from the likes of Cortland Sutton and Denzel Mims as like the guys that we were saying, where everyone was saying was buy lows last offseason, is Brandin Cooks. You're limiting the people that want Brandin Cooks to teams that want to compete now and want to compete in the next couple of
Yeah,
years.
rebuilding
As to
team.
where Denzel Mims and Cortland Sutton, anyone could have wanted to go get them because they would have figured their value would be.
They're
going
both
up.
super young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in terms of buy low, it's more buy him before another contender buys him.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right.
And if a contender owns him, then they're probably not selling.
Yeah. Retool
so,
segment.
Yeah.
Don't be a cup hater and let's get a deal done, JT.
Ooh. Was that Captain D's in here?
I believe so.
Oh, what up, Captain D's?
I haven't been in the YouTube chat.
What's going on?
I just think the price for Cooper Kupp is so high. Well, first off, my team in 3rd and 20. I was one.
Oh, is that why you referenced it? Was that what the whole argument was about the other day? Cooper Kupp?
What do you mean, like the?
In the 3rd and 20 league chat.
Yeah, it's just a cheeky bit of banter, mate.
Yeah, that was
a
more
cheeky bit of
Frank
banter
thing in the 3rd. But my thing with him is like my team specifically is I traded away some mid or late round startup picks for 2nd round picks this year. I drafted injured running backs like Cam Akers. Like, I'm not a competing team. And the price for Cooper Kupp in the league was what was offered me was T. Higgins, Cam Akers, and 2 seconds for Cooper Kupp. And it's just that doesn't make sense for my team. But see, like, if I was competing, I'd rather keep T. Higgins and send the 2 seconds for Cooks, assuming those are 2 late seconds or whatever they were going to be. I think in my case, those were early seconds that I would have been sending. But yeah, I just think the price on Kupp is just so high that I'm not touching him.
That's fair.
All right. Spent enough time on those guys. Retool segment, new segment. We're going to talk about, I don't know, Frank, you're probably best at describing what the
kind of how we feel about these guys. We had
it's like the segment is, this is the best way I'm going to describe it. You're not necessarily a rebuilding team, because if you're a rebuilding team, you're like, oh yeah, well, I'll sell like anyone that isn't guaranteed to be an absolute freaking beast. Like, okay, yeah, no shit. But what if you're more so like a retooling team where, like, as of right now, maybe you're out of the playoff race or you're on the fringe of a playoff race and you're like, well, I would have to have a little bit of luck, beat a couple of the top teams to make the playoffs. So I still want to kind of compete, but at the same time, my sights are more set to next year than competing right now. I'm looking to kind of pick up value. Like, I'm trying to compete next year, and I still want my team to be good, but I'm not just like blowing the entire thing up. What do you do with the kind of middle of the pack players, right? And we'll go through the list of them now. So the first one, Brandon Aiyuk, right? This is a guy who's been absolutely tanking in value. His last week, though, he played the most, I'm pretty sure, of any week in the season. He didn't necessarily play great, but he at least put up some fantasy points. If you're the retooling team, what are you doing with Brandon Aiyuk?
To put it into reference, he was at an all-time high of 1 week before the season at wide receiver 10. He's currently wide receiver 38. Keep trade cut terms, which doesn't give a whole lot, but he was at 6,000 points, I guess we'll call it. Now he's at 3,400. It's a significant drop. Currently, players that are ranked around him are Miles Sanders, Brandin Cooks, Tony Pollard, Darnell Mooney, Chase Edmonds, Mike Gesicki. That is what we're dealing with if you have Brandin Cooks. To me,
You mean Brandon Ayuk?
Brandon Ayuk. It just feels bad having to trade Brandon Ayuk for some of these guys.
I would trade him for Sanders. I think Sanders is in a little buy low.
I just think he's one of those players that I don't know if I'd trade him for Sanders. I think I'd rather Ayuk.
That's fair. I mean, it depends how much you still believe in
yeah.
the talent. It's so weird with Shanahan. I mean,
Yeah,
especially
I think
with
how much you believe in the 49ers and how much you believe in.
Yeah, and I
Ayuk.
mean, it's like, especially with how well Debo's doing, and even last year, all of last year, Debo was hurt, but Debo was a huge factor in the Super Bowl run as a rookie. I don't know. It's frustrating that he can't take over that number 2 spot in that offense, especially with Kittle missing a lot of time. When Kittle's back, he's going to take a lot of targets too.
So are you holding him?
What would you guys say is if I owned Ayuk, what would you guys say is like the best offer I can get for him right now? And I'll tell you if I'd rather hold or accept the offer.
I think you're not getting firsts right now. So that's
Definitely
the
not.
first problem. What I would do with Ayuk though, I'm definitely leaning hold, but I would try to, if I'm a retooling team, to package him. I know that's generally not a great move, but if you could package him and just get an absolute stud, I may try to do that. And you might get someone willing to bite on that if it's juicy enough. But I'm definitely more in like the hold camp, dude. I still believe in Ayuk. Then I'm gonna sell for seconds and shit.
If you got offered 112, are you saying no?
I think that's a draft dependent move.
That's fair. You'd want to see who's on the board.
Yeah, I'd have to see who's on the board. To me, 112 is more of a second round pick than a first round pick most of the time. So,
look, if a Contender's offering me a first right now for Brandon Ayuk, I'd probably take it.
I think I would take it too, just because like you could probably just buy him back later for cheaper.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was an Ayuk believer, and I feel bad saying like I'm not anymore, just because it's not like he magically got untalented, but it hasn't made sense this year. I think. Well, out of obviously, like we have like the crazy storylines today, Ruggs, Ridley. Is Ayuk like a nominee for most confusing player in fantasy this year? There's Allen Robinson, Cordero Patterson.
Ayuk's definitely like the most confusing because at least with Robinson,
Allen Robinson, you know it's because of that offense.
Yeah, but with Ayuk, it's just like he's someone that the coaching staff drafted like high, like they took him high. He's someone that performed, that was a good player last season, and then all of a sudden now he wasn't even seeing the field in the first couple games, and I don't know what the explanation behind it is. To me, I think Frank was talking about packaging. I've mentioned earlier that I don't really love packaging like a player in a first for another wide receiver, but I looked on
what does Ayuk in a first get? Do you think?
I don't know, but I can tell you what Ayuk in a second gets because that's what I'm looking at. If I gave Ayuk and a 2022 mid-second, players in that tier are Cortland Sutton, the 2023 first, Deshaun Watson, Michael Carter, who I'm definitely not getting.
I think Sutton is interesting. I think that's a deal.
Sutton's the one that I aim for. I just feel like you're probably not getting Sutton.
Probably not.
With just that straight, you might have to add a little on top, but I would pivot off Ayuk to Sutton.
I think that would be a nice move if you can get Sutton for that, or if you wanted the package. If there's someone who believes in Ayuk, like if you wanted the package Ayuk in like a late first for, I don't know, maybe shoot for like a Higgins, a Claypool, Deontay Johnson.
You're probably not getting. You might be.
I think you could like. What about for D Hop though? What if you offered Ayuk in a first for D Hop?
I don't think it would take Ayuk.
What are we saying this first is? A late first, mid first?
109.
Late first, maybe 109.
Yeah, probably got D Hop.
You could probably get D Hop for that.
You could get Travis Kelce, Derrick Henry, Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Fields.
So those guys are ahead of D Hop.
Probably can't get Justin Fields anymore. If it's perceived to be maybe even higher than 109, funnily enough, you could get Deebo Samuel, Trey Lance, DJ Moore, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones.
Probably Deebo. I'm never trading Deebo. He's so good. But
Ayuk is weird though. I still like Ayuk. That's the thing that's annoying.
He looks so good as a rookie. Like it wasn't one of those where it's like you can kind of tell when some rookie performances or like this undrafted performance is kind of like flawed. Like we remember Reuben Foster from a couple. Was it Reuben Foster?
Yeah,
from a couple years ago. Yeah, like Ayuk.
Robert Foster.
Yeah, it may have been Robert Foster. Ayuk looked legitimately like he was going to be a stud. Like he was being viewed in kind of like that Higgins tier entering the season for a reason. I don't know. I agree with you guys about the trade ideas. If you can somehow get Ayuk and a pick to someone who believes in him for an upgraded, like solidified, really good receiver. If not, I'm probably accepting any contender first. If I get offered like 204, I don't know if I can do it.
I'm not doing it for 204. Fuck that. What about James Robinson though? Let's move on from Ayuk. James Robinson. If you're a retooling team, what are you doing with James Robinson?
Okay, wait. I just looked up Robert Foster, and he had 4 games at the end of the 2018 season where he scored over 10 half PPR points and did play well. All right.
Yeah, I know
Sorry.
he was hot.
Quick side.
So James Robinson.
I'm buying.
Can I say something quick? I actually So here's the thing I would do if I had him. I don't know if if you guys remembered. And listen, this is someone talking. I really like ETN. I was high on him coming out of the draft. I thought ETN was the more talented running back between the two. I think it's going to be Robinson's backfield again next year. We've seen with this foot injury, including with was it with Debo who had it? This foot injury, it takes more than 1 year to really get back to your normal self, and especially someone with ETN, who like the cuts he makes, his burst being one of his best traits. He's not going to be as effective, I think, that first season off the injury. So I think if I own James Robinson, I'm keeping him, unless the person trying to buy also thinks he's going to be the guy next year, I'm keeping him thinking he's going to be the guy again at the start of next season. His value is going to jump even more because I feel like right now there's kind of a cap on it because everyone assumes this season's it. I think if you wait till next season, you see that he's still the guy again, even with ETN back, because I think ETN will eventually be the guy, but not next year. I think it's going to take some time for him to get fully back. You can get a lot more trade value out of him next season.
Here's the thing, right? Do we think Urban Meyer's coming back as a coach? I think it's way more likely than not he's not the head coach next year. I don't think you give Urban Meyer more than 1 year.
It's going to depend how the season together ends.
A bunch of wins.
It's going to depend how the season ends.
But I just think I imagine a team that Urban Meyer's gone. This is a team that's starting fresh again. ETN was an Urban Meyer pick. He was the one that he really wanted Tony. Then he ended up getting Urban Meyer. There's no real loyalty to ETN. We've seen what James Robinson can do. I just think my bigger issue is I really expected Laviska Shenault to break out this season, and we're going to touch on him in a little bit, but he hasn't yet. So I think there's more space for ETN to bite into that role than there is for the James Robinson role. And I think we could be seeing Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines feels like not the right
ETN's
comparison,
a lot more talented. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the right comparison. Gibson and McKissick also feels wrong. I'm trying to find I'm grasping for what the right thing is, but I think James Robinson has shown that he can very much handle the main workload, and ETN you could kind of have as your more explosive player, because I don't know if ETN can handle the main workload yet, especially coming off this injury. So I'm buying James Robinson is what I was trying to get at. This is tough because he's currently ranked around Kadarius Toney, so I would obviously smash Kadarius Toney for James Robinson trade if I could get it done.
Give me Toney.
I think the fact of the matter is that James Robinson has just been too productive to not say this guy's a good player. To a certain extent, I don't even need to. I'm not going to try and predict the future. I'm just going to say, has there ever been a running back to be this productive for multiple seasons that has just vanished?
No. It feels a lot like the Chris Carson Rashard Penny. I mean, it probably has happened, but it feels a lot like Chris Carson Rashard Penny.
Maybe I don't want to put too much on ETN yet. Going as low as Penny.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to say he's Penny, but we've seen a guy now produce and proven that he can.
I would shop James Robinson.
Yeah,
I'm waiting till next season to shop. I really do think his value is going to jump next season when they're like, oh shit, he's going to be the guy again for another year.
Yeah, but the thing is, right now is the only time that James Robinson has ever gotten respect by the community. And That's fair. Me, that means that I can actually sell him for what he's kind of worth. And I don't want to wait till next year if I'm going to sell him when ETN is back and then there's the camp hype and all that bullshit. If I'm going to
Keep
sell, I'm
trade
doing it
cut.
now.
Keep trade cut. It's an interesting group of players around him. So I want to hear your guys' opinions. We've got Travis Etienne, Mike Evans, Chase Claypool are above him. Kadarius Toney, Darrell Henderson, Keenan Allen below him.
It's gonna
It's
be
not
two
as
players
high
on
as
this
I
list.
liked.
This is kind of interesting. It's not as high as I would think.
That's
Would
the
you
thing.
guys go
I
out there?
really like the players above him. I really don't like the players below him.
I like the
Well,
players
where's
all around him.
Tony? I forget where Tony is. Tony's
Tony.
below him,
I think
Yeah.
Tony.
I really like
I
the players
think
above him.
Robinson versus Henderson is a pretty interesting debate.
I'd rather Robinson.
I'd rather have Robinson by a country mile.
You know, talk about productivity. Henderson's been productive, and they're both
on
kind
one of the best offenses in football.
Yeah, but he also hasn't been more productive than James Robinson. James Robinson put up a top 5 season last year.
I mean,
We've never seen that from Darrell Henderson. He's not
Darrell
putting up a
Henderson's
top 5
RB
this
what 10 this year while missing 2 games.
year. I just much rather have James Robinson. I don't know. I think that's very easy.
Yeah,
I'm
with JT on that one.
Me, it's good just because I do think Henderson's having a really good year.
Okay, well, let's get into
He's been
Darrell
an
Henderson because
RB1
he's
this
actually
year.
the next guy on the list. If
I'm
you
selling.
can get that value of Henderson, I am smashing the sell button.
Well, 'cause
Any
his
sort
value
of
still
first
isn't-
round pick or Keenan Allen or whatever those receivers were, I would rather have them over Henderson. I want the first over Henderson. I don't really believe in Henderson all that much.
Same. I mean, unless you can refute it, but
I mean, I've had to refute it for 6 months.
Yeah, listen, I was wrong on Henderson coming into the year. I'll give you that. But at the same time, I don't think that there's a more running back friendly system right now than LA. The Rams, that is, not
That's
the
a fair
Chargers.
point. No, I mean the bet on Henderson is this. It's kind of betting, and it's so hard to predict because none of us are really doctors or have seen Cam Akers in his recovery. And it's the same thing with Robinson too, with Etienne's foot injury. It's impossible to predict how he's going to be, whether that's going to be a 1 or 2 year injury for Etienne where he's back to 100%. So it's all just a guessing game. I just think Henderson this year has looked good enough where it's like, I don't think Akers is just going to come back and it be his backfield. Never mind. Then that's assuming he comes back in a good, very similar to how he was pre-injury. I don't know how he's going to look after it, and I think Henderson's been great this year for them. He's pretty much held off Sony. What?
we snubbed the biggest injury news. I forgot about it. Derrick Henry broke his foot.
Oh my
Out
god!
for the rest of the season. We snubbed that. If you're listening and you listen to the injury news part and now you see this, sorry, we snubbed the Derrick Henry part.
It's injury news. He's out. Sorry, you have to go buy a new running back.
That's a big injury news. He's literally top 1 running back. RB1 on the year
Okay,
right
I'll make quick comments on Derrick Henry. Don't fall into the AP hype. I don't expect anything out of fucking.
Oh, I'm falling into it.
AP into you fish. You saw the bait just shaking in the water and you just swam right towards it. But
I wanted to go spend a first on some more Henry Ruggs. You're welcome.
It wasn't even a good bait. It was like an old worm, a retired worm.
Look,
a worm that's been on the couch for a year plus.
If you're getting AP off the waiver, you could have got him off the waiver wires for immediate, like as long as
if you picked him up immediately for free, congratulations.
Yeah.
Am I dropping all of my fab on him? Probably not.
At this point, I would. There's no one else. Like you need to bank on another big injury happening to running back.
The
and like
second coming of Gore.
Oh, Kendrick Gore in his 16 snaps.
Hey.
I think it's Derek Gore, but
I don't know his
Derek
first name.
Gore, whatever his name is.
We're back.
No.
Derek Gore that
Give me AP.
overtook what's his name? Darrell Williams for the backup running back spot, getting out snapped by like 36 snaps.
Yeah. There's just give me AP. That's you want to talk about great offenses to run. That's another good one. I mean, current AP is no Derrick Henry, but still AP. Although I did love that someone was tweeting out like 2018 AP highlight or AD, I guess is AD highlights. I was like, yeah, look what he can do. I was like, well, that was 3 years ago. That's like 30 years.
Yeah,
Back
no,
age.
I mean, I think McNichols is a little bit interesting.
Nah.
I do too. I like McNichols.
I'd feel more comfortable, like if I had to flex play either one of them, I'd feel more comfortable with him over AP.
I think this is going to be a committee Carl kind of a situation.
I feel like AP, you're just going to be begging for a touchdown every game.
I think no matter which one of these dudes you pick, you're going to be begging. I mean,
I know, but I think at least with McNichols, especially in PPR, but half PPR leagues, you can maybe like pray for like something where it's like 5-6 catches, you get some carries. AP, I feel like you're just going to see a ton of like 14 carries for 46 yards and no touchdowns games.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, dude, if they want to spam duo again, AP's the fucking guy to do it.
Like, I feel like you're going to get games where there are going to be a lot of games where AP gets 10 touches, but it's going to be a ton of games with like 4.1, 4.5. One game he scores a touchdown, he has 9.6.
I love Adrian Peterson. I'll take the bait on him.
I'm never going to feel good starting him.
Yeah. Welcome to the bait club, Frank.
I've got his jersey, so.
Fish.
Derrick Henry, you give him, I wouldn't sell. I think you missed the boat on sell. At this point, he's just a hold.
Yeah, no. So what's interesting with Derrick Henry, anyone who owns him, you should be rooting for the Titans to lose and for the Colts to win. Because they said he might come back in 8 weeks, which would put him at week what? That's like week 16, 17. So you're getting him back for like
it'd be close to championship.
Possibly like the last 2 rounds of the playoffs. And you're hoping, the hope is that the Titans don't have the division way locked up, because then they're just going to rest them till the wild card round if they have everything locked up. So you kind of hoping they have
hope there, Lounis.
Yeah, that's a lot of hope there. That's like hoping that Henry Ruggs doesn't get.
Dude, I said in the Dynasty sub that I wouldn't expect Henry back this fantasy season. I got like minus 15 downvotes. Like, okay, fuck you guys. The Derrick Henry truthers roll mad at me for trying to warm them.
Congratulations, Lounis. You got some downvotes. Welcome to Reddit, dude.
Yeah, I think it's a 6 to 8 week injury, which
it's 6 to 10, and 8 is the realistic number.
Yeah, okay. So you're hoping that your team makes the playoffs without Derrick Henry, which is a big hope because he's literally the running back one currently. He's probably half the reason you're even there. Then you're hoping that your team wins the first couple games in the playoffs so that he's there. He comes back in time, and the Titans want him back for him to carry you. There's way too many hopes. But the real answer is he's just a hold. Maybe even a buy if you're like looking to compete next year and you want to get like a back one cheaper now. I don't know. I've never really been an advocate of like going out and getting Derrick Henry of the past year and a half or two, but he just keeps proving me wrong. So at this point, when he's probably going to be at his cheapest that he's been in 2+ years, I think now would be the time if you're going to do it.
I'm not sure he's really cheaper though right now. I think that people are still going to want a ridiculous
I saw
return.
a lot of tweets saying like, well, this is what happens. 400 plus carries 2 years in a row. You're going to see this, the breakdown. I see like some people.
I just don't know if this was a rate. He's already dropped to running back 14. He's still ranked around an early first. I need that to drop a little bit for me to do it. But he's dropped. Yeah, he's dropped.
Who are the running backs near?
Like 2K.
I know Aaron Jones is like RB10.
Yeah, he's actually RB13. Aaron Jones is one right in front of him. The 3 above him are Mixon, Elliott, and Aaron Jones. 3 below are J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery.
I don't really know what to do with him. Maybe you just say, fuck it. Kind of like when Saquon got hurt last year. You just say, dude, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give Henry a pick and get one of the other top running backs in the league. And that might, because like right now, because he has the RB1 season, the naysayers aren't as loud. Once the offseason comes in, there's going to be so many people that are like, oh, they're going to plan out all the touches. They're going to say, oh, he got an injury. Then they're going to put up some player comps of other players that got this many touches in an injury. So it's either you have to make the decision now. Okay, I'm either going to shop him or I'm going to hold, turn off my phone, throw it in the ocean till next offseason, and then just keep him on my roster, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
The issue with that is, And let me see if I could shop.
I have a question.
that
If you
on
own
each
Derrick
trade.
Henry, would you flip him right now for Antonio Gibson?
Why Antonio Gibson? If
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
flip him, I want someone who's scoring
Would
points. Like, I
wasn't
do it
Antonio
for,
Gibson the running back right beneath him in the keep trade cut rankings?
yeah, but I'd want to go
Did I mishear
above.
you?
I'm giving Derrick Henry
Yeah.
and a pick, and I'm reaching up.
So you're
Derrick
trying to
Henry,
upgrade.
2022 mid first for DeAndre Swift. Yes, please.
I feel like the
I would
Swift
definitely
owner
take
wouldn't
Swift.
accept that.
Probably not. I think
Unless
Derrick
the
Henry's
Swift
the one
owner
for
can win
top.
this season. If the Swift owner could win this season, then maybe.
Well,
Maybe. Well, actually, no.
You
Now
probably
that
wouldn't be
now that
accepting
Henry's
that,
hurt, no,
yeah.
never mind. I'm dumb. I'm thinking
Yeah,
Henry's. Yeah, no, that was a brain lapse. I was thinking like Henry's whine. Yeah, no, the Swift owner isn't accepting that. So I brought up Gibson. I know we're not talking
the
about
issue-
Gibson.
Why are you
Gibson-
trading one injured running back for another?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know.
The issue though
Well,
is that I
young.
think you're running into, Frank, with that is you're just going to be recycling the same problems, I think, right? Like 2022 mid to late first plus Derrick Henry for Alvin Kamara. Then you get Alvin Kamara, but then in either a year or two, it's going to be the same thing where you're going to now then need to recycle that first into.
I'm not
another-
doing this for value, though. I'm doing this because I'm a championship level team. I need a running back to replace Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry ain't going to be there, so I will lose a little bit of value technically to go and get a
Okay.
running back that I can compete with this year and next year, and I don't have to worry about all the Derrick Henry crap. Because my argument is, if you're going to sell him, you kind of have to do it now.
So then I think that's the perfect player. Then is Kamara.
Unless Derrick
I
Henry
mean-
starts going off again next year, then obviously you can sell him during the season again next year if he's going off. But
If you're pivoting off Henry, I think Kamara is the guy you want to pivot into.
or maybe like a Nick Chubb.
I think you're going to have a harder time pivoting into a Nick Chubb, but
You think so?
I think so.
Interesting.
I think Kamara's just dropped like a decent amount of value this year, just because he's not the crazy player we've seen. I mean, I could check. Like we could.
I feel like Kamara's.
We
pretty
spent
But
good.
yeah,
a lot of
that's
time
just
on
the
here,
deal
but-
I would do if I'm like, dude, my Henry is out. I'm looking for an RB1. Yeah, I'm losing value
alright.
technically, but Henry first, maybe even Henry or first in a second. Give me Kamara. Give me one of these top backs, and
Actually-
we're
actually-
back there, motherfuckers.
Actually, probably could get Nick Chubb. All right, yeah, maybe I do that. I do that.
All right, let's go back to the retool segment though. OBJ.
All right,
We
sorry.
were kind of talking about OBJ earlier, so let's go kind of rapid fire on him. Sell for low, keeping him around. What are you guys doing with OBJ as a retooler? Package maybe?
As a retooler,
At this point, I think he's a hold.
I'm
until
holding him
anything.
because I think he's going to be an off-season cut, and I think
So-
he's going to be on a different team at the start of next season.
you gotta wait to sell on any hype. Currently, there's nothing going on. At some point, he's gonna start getting rumored into trades, or he's
If
actually
anything,
gonna start producing.
You know what I kind of think is
Selling hype.
like, if people don't know about his contract situation and all they see is that they didn't trade him at the deadline, I'm kind of seeing what they want for him. Well, if so, this is someone else. has him.
he's on your
Yeah,
team.
this yeah.
Well, I
I know.
agree
But I
with
just
the
mean in
sentiment
general.
that, like, if I'm OBJ, I agree. I think there's a decent chance he gets cut. And then if I'm OBJ, what's the one thing I want to do? I don't give a fuck about the money. I got the big contract already.
Win.
I want to win, and I want to put up stats. Guess where I'm going? Either Kansas City, like, or one of the other top
I'm
offenses that
following
needs a
wherever Aaron
receiver,
Rodgers
or,
goes.
or I'm saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers, where are we going, bro?
Yeah.
Let me call him. Hey, you want to take a quick trip to Hawaii? Let's talk about this. Let's start running
Yeah.
some routes. What's up? I'll
Yep.
go here. I'll go here on a vet min. I'm gonna pull some AB. People have been tarnishing my name for too long. I'm pulling an AB. Hey Brady, you coming back? You want another weapon real quick? Fuck yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the
Wait,
Bucks?
we're talking
can you
about
imagine,
these quarterbacks.
Can you imagine Godwin?
I think it's the
signs-
Bills.
Can you maybe? Can you imagine Godwin gets a huge contract somewhere else, signed somewhere else? The Bucks replace him with OBJ on a cheaper deal. I could definitely see that happening and playing out.
Well, yeah. What if
Possible.
Sanders and Cole Beasley go for the Bills? All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, OBJ.
Yeah.
Gabriel
Stephon
Davis will
Diggs,
still be there, but like you don't
Josh
want to
Allen.
rely on Gabriel Davis as a number 2, especially in that offense. So it's like, yeah, let's bring in OBJ for cheap. Let's win some
All right.
games, baby.
Yeah, honestly, I'm
OBJ, I
like
feel like
OBJ.
is the clearest hold here.
do not
All
sell
right,
low on OBJ.
so
That's
we're
number one
all
bit of
holding.
advice.
Robert Woods, what are you doing? Are you keeping him or are you selling him?
Well,
If
The
I'm,
Rams-
what do you think you can get right now? Do you think you can get like an early second for Robert Woods?
Definitely. I would look for a first in the 3rd and 20 league. I wasn't able to get a first straight, so
Oh, I mean,
I
if you can get a
settled for
first, get a
some
first.
bullshit to get into a first.
If I can get a very good second, I would take it.
Yeah,
Somewhere like
I'd take an
201
early
to
second.
204.
The two things going into Robert Woods' favor though are one, it's kind of a farce, but cap space. The Rams shouldn't have any, so they can't go out and get a big name free agent. Or at least they shouldn't. Maybe they
I
can
think
use
that
some
kind of
magic.
worries if I
And
were him because his contract's movable.
I guess, but I just think you're in that win now mode that Robert Woods provides you a win now piece. If you get rid of Robert Woods, you're lacking serious depth on that wide receiver front. And the other thing that I was going to mention is
Tutu Atwell.
they don't have draft picks. I don't believe in Tutu Atwell. They don't have draft picks though either, so it's not like he's getting replaced that way either. I just think they're locked with him for a little while. So yeah, I think if I could sell him for
They can't
an
cut.
early
They
second,
can't cut him this
like first-
offseason. They can't
Yeah.
cut him. The soonest they can.
He's there.
The soonest they can cut him for not a terrible deal is 20 to like after next season, but it's probably going to be another 2 years
Okay.
after this year. Another 2 years
So,
after this
so
year.
to me, sell him for early second, late first if I can. If not, I'm just gonna hold him and wait for the next season. Moving on, Elijah Mitchell. I think he's one of the easiest sells for me. I know he's been playing
okay.
like he's. Yes, Lance?
Can I say something? So this is where I get confused. Not that I'm disagreeing with you, by the way. This is where I get confused because if we think Elijah Mitchell is a sell for what he's been right now, then why not spend like 210 or 212 on Trey Sermon? If you don't think Elijah Mitchell's going to be the guy, then who will be?
I just don't trust any of the 49ers running back is my thing.
So you don't think either of them?
I mean, I like Trey Sermon more coming out. I still think Trey Sermon could be good, but you could get him for cheaper than that, I feel like. Because he just hasn't
You
done
want to know
anything.
why, Lounis?
Yeah.
Okay. Just hear me out real quick because this is going to be a weird little analogy here. You know how
Okay.
like the Viking people, they would like pick up rocks?
Yeah. Okay.
So you just saw some dude pick up a super heavy rock, right?
Okay.
And then there's another dude who's also pretty big that could pick up the rock, but we haven't seen him pick up the rock yet. Who are you putting money on to pick up the rock again? The guy who just picked up the rock and has been picking up the rock a bunch of times, or the dude that maybe could pick up the rock?
Why'd they have to be Viking dudes?
Well,
This is the first thing that came to mind.
The dude who's picked up the rock.
Elijah Mitchell's picked up the rock like the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, but what if I told you picking?
Trey Sermon isn't even second in line to pick up the damn rock. They'd rather go
Well,
Jermichael
that's my
Hasty.
thing. What if we've seen a lot of different people pick up the rocks and we're like, we don't value the different
Anyone could pick up
people.
those rocks. Those rocks are balloons.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I see with Elijah Mitchell. And Frank, what if I told you I don't think this deal can be made? But this is how keep trade cuts got him valued. What if I told you could trade Elijah Mitchell for Zach Wilson straight?
I mean, yeah. But I'm comparing him to Trey Sermon here.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Elijah Mitchell's a sell. JT, also your camera's fucked up and I can't fix it, so you may have to join in or leave and come back. Oh, never mind, it fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. with you. I think that Elijah Mitchell's a sell, but I think the one problem is and this is partly because of the redraft folk coming in on the keep trade cut, is that his keep trade cut value and ranking is higher than anyone is comfortable spending on him. Maybe in a couple of leagues, you'll have someone that's willing to spend a first round pick on Elijah Mitchell. But go ahead, sell him for that first. Sell him for that good player, that Zach Wilson. Maybe you have one league where the guy's panicking. But I think in most super flex leagues, it's just not going to happen. People just aren't comfortable spending the first on Elijah Mitchell.
I would sell Elijah Mitchell for players significantly lower than Elijah Mitchell. So if we're looking on keep trade cut where he's at, I read you the names of people. What do you say, Lounis?
I was just saying he's RB26.
Yeah, so he's right
Yeah,
on. He's in like the Kareem Hunt from the offseason. You know, he's worth
Yeah,
a very
Derek
late
Carr,
first,
he's around
but
Rashad Bateman.
yeah,
He's a back-
he's in the
he's a
he's in the
backup.
tweener zone where it's like you don't want to sell unless you're getting a first, and you don't want to buy because you like why would you give up a
Yeah.
first for him? You want to give
The,
up a
the running
second.
backs near him are very interesting. Obviously, Frank, I know you would rather have Cam Akers over Mitchell. JT, are you on the same boat? Cam Akers or Mitchell?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Look, I'm looking at players way lower than Elijah Mitchell. Damian Harris, I'd rather have. Noah Fant, I'd rather have. Elijah
Damian
Moore,
Harris
I'd
is
rather
up there.
have. Kirk
how about
Cousins,
this?
I'd
How
rather
about
have.
this? Khalil Herbert or Elijah Mitchell?
That
Elijah Mitchell.
I think I'm going to go to Frank's rock analogy. I mean, I like Khalil Herbert more coming out. But
We've seen Khalil Herbert lift some rocks, though.
yeah, but we've seen
him
Khalil
lift
Herbert
some heavy rocks.
We've seen Khalil Herbert lift the rocks without the main rock lifter. Like Elijah Mitchell is the main rock
Listen,
lifter.
Montgomery is just better.
The rock in Tampa Bay was rugged. Wasn't an easy rock to pick up.
I mean, listen,
Obviously,
Elijah Mitchell.
Montgomery is better. Montgomery's better.
And freaking, I mean, I liked Elijah Mitchell and Herbert both before the draft. It's just like, give me Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. But Herbert, I really like Herbert. He's impressed me, even though I know he's not better than Montgomery.
I think the problem with Herbert is that he doesn't like. This is his ceiling. This is the best that Khalil Herbert's going to play. He's not going to progress and magically become even better than he is currently. At least I don't think. And my analysis of him, he was an older prospect coming out. Athletically, he's not crazy. I think he tested better than people expected, but it doesn't have the draft capital. I think that Khalil Herbert's a finished product. So like, it's cool. He's a decent player. But if you're buying Khalil Herbert thinking, 3 years, he's going to be fucking insane.
Well,
this guy's the next Derrick Henry.
Alexander Max.
Montgomery's like what, 1 year older than him? Like Montgomery's not going anywhere.
2, yeah, but if that
Montgomery's like dynamic, it seems like, at least at the beginning of this year.
Moving on. Marvin Jones. I also feel Lounis Amirat's doing the thing again.
Yeah, you got the collar on, Lounis.
I think that's what it is, because I'm not touching my mic. I'm sorry. It's my collar. I'll change
Marvin
out of
Jones
my post sooner.
Sell. Just take it all off, Lounis. You might get us banned.
What are you selling Marvin Jones for?
I think Marvin Jones is the kind of guy that I would always advocate drafting Marvin Jones. But I just feel like this is the year that DJ Chark's out injured. He should be getting like a high target share.
Shenault hasn't been doing the whole time.
Yeah, Shenault hasn't been doing anything. He should be getting a high target share. And he's behind freaking Jamal Agnew and Dan Arnold. So
they put some respect. Those are Frank's guys. Those are like 2 of Frank's favorite players.
Those are not my guys.
I picked them up for nothing. All right, we're out here.
Easy 1-for-1 trade. I think you could almost certainly do Marvin Jones for Dyami Brown. I'm taking Dyami Brown. He hasn't done anything yet. He's been injured. Marvin Jones is a good guy for a contender. Dyami Brown was probably a contender's like 2nd round pick that he had in the draft. Give me Dyami Brown for Marvin Jones.
Everyone in the Washington offense is getting injured. Everyone. Yeah. Gibson, quarterback, Miami, Logan, Curtis Samuel. But I'm with you. I mean, if you could flip Marvin Jones for Dyami Brown, I think it's a good trade. I think Dyami Brown's it's a whole separate issue, but I think he's a good buy low in general. But yeah, if I got offered any 2nd round pick besides maybe like 212, I'd probably accept it for Marvin Jones. I think it's kind of it. I don't know how you guys feel. Like, are you keeping Marvin Jones over like a 208?
Oh, I'd rather have the 208, but I don't think you're getting a 208. Same. I think you're getting a 3rd for Marvin Jones.
Probably. Yeah, you pray for.
I wouldn't sell for like a mid-3rd, just because I think he will be back on. Maybe it's not even the Jaguars, but he'll be back on a team and will be relevant. But if I could pivot him into a younger receiver that I'm willing to take the risk on, like a Dyami Brown, or a 2nd round pick, late 2nd round pick, I'd do that. Early 3rd.
Yeah, I put him on here because I have Marvin Jones, and honestly, like I really don't know what to do with him.
This has turned into the Give Frank advice podcast.
Well, I'm just curious to hear some thoughts. I thought other people might be in a similar position to me.
Brand to hear fantasy advice.
I would see if there's a contender for some reason trying to buy him. Wait, what do you say, JT?
No,
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like he's pretty cheap targets.
Um,
But he's not getting that many targets is the issue.
Well, I think last week was a
comparatively.
wash though. Like if
Wide
you look at the
receiver
stats
37.
sheet, like okay, yeah, Agnew and and Dan Arnold, like I like these guys, at least as like former waiver pickups. But if you look at the game, they only got targets when the Jaguars were clearly out of the game.
Yeah, hold on.
I don't think I'm
going
selling
to
for
try
a
and-
third. I don't know if I'm selling for a third. Is it only a 1-year deal with Jacksonville? Or is it
I
more?
have no
I-
idea.
I would help you with that, but I'm looking up a different stat real quick.
If it's only a 1-year deal, I'm not selling for a third. Let's see.
I think that Marvin Jones might just
Uh,
kind of approach Emmanuel Sanders territory, where it's just like
it's a 2-year deal.
you're just never looking to sell for a third because you'll always outperform that third, unless you
so it's a
absolutely nail it.
Yeah, so it's a 2-year deal. He's going to be in Jacksonville next year.
He's the leading receiver on Jacksonville in targets, but he's the 30th in the league. So it's like, I mean, for the late third.
And
I mean,
ETN's
late
gonna
second,
ETN's gonna be a
third.
factor in that passing game next year.
Oh, next year, I don't think he'll be seeing as many targets. It's just, I think I'd sell now rather than.
You're probably right. I was hoping he'd be on a 1-year deal. Yeah, I'm with you guys.
I
You
think
guys want to
leaving
move?
Jacksonville could be worse for him for value wise if he did. But
I know, but I mean,
last-
I would like him if he would sign cheap, like the Sammy Watkins role in Kansas City, or like even like team like the Raiders. I would like him on. Whatever. Let's move on.
let's skip around and let's do the pair.
Oh, we're gonna go to his teammate.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault.
Shenault.
He's someone that I was high on. Not that high on him anymore. I don't
still
know.
like
If it's
him.
the coaching. I don't know if it's the coaching staff's fault and they just don't want to get the ball to Shenault, but
I think that's part of it, because just I've seen like so many, but even like this year where like he has the ball in his hands, he just makes a ridiculous play where he just it looks like a 3-yard completion. He ends up like juking a couple dudes for like 50 yards. Depends what his price is. What's he going for right now? Like a mid-second?
let's check. Laviska
I just don't
Shenault.
think I'm the guy to buy Shenault. I don't have him in any.
I'm not
leagues.
buying Shenault. I just more mean if I have, I'm not buying him. If I'm saying if I,
2023 mid-second.
if I have
Juju,
him-
Jacoby Myers, Antonio Brown.
I agree with you though, Lounis. I think that I'm just kind of like consensus on him. So if you're in a league where someone's really trying to sell him, I may look to buy, and vice versa. If someone's like, "No, I want a first for him," it's like, okay, well, yeah, fuck you, and
Yeah,
I'll chill on the sideline.
like but to us, I mean the guys around there. Like if you ask me, would I rather have Jacoby Myers or Shenault? Even though Myers is probably putting up better numbers this year, I think Chenault's the better talent.
Yeah, I if I have Shenault as a retooling team, I think I'm just gonna hold. I
Same.
might
I think I'm gonna
test
hold.
the waters
He's a
a
hold.
little, but not even. I think I'm just gonna hold him, and if someone wants him and they come to me, okay, fine, we'll talk, but not looking to sell him. I'm not like looking to force a move, like panicking on Shenault. It's a weird offense right now. I'm not gonna completely blame him for being in this absolute shitstorm.
All right.
Speaking of
Well, let's-
shitstorms, let's hit the Jets receivers.
Let's kick it off with Elijah Moore. Also feel like he's a hold.
I love Elijah Moore. Do not sell Elijah Moore this early. Do not. That offense has just been a shit show. Mike White is the next Tom Brady in New York. He will save everyone.
Well, we don't want
I'm
to
just
go off the
kidding.
rails in this.
No.
Yeah.
I know, but I do mean in terms of don't sell Elijah Moore unless like. I mean, his price really hasn't dropped. I feel like I don't need to tell people that. Like, I feel like everyone's just like all the Elijah Moore owners have been like,
He's
hold
wide
the
receiver
fort.
34 on Keep Trade Cut.
But he's
That's
still
much
his price
lower
is
than-
still like an early second, right? You're not getting him for a mid second, are you?
He was wide receiver 23 before the season started.
Yeah, but there was a point in training
Um,
camp pipe where you would have needed to trade like a late first to get him. During all
Players
the Jets
ranked
training
around
camp
him.
pipe.
I mean, he was nearly he was a late first in some super flex leagues. Anyway.
Yeah.
Players around him are Noah Fant, Robert Woods, Michael Thomas, Leonard Fournette, Tyler
Wow.
Lockett, Kirk Cousins.
I like Elijah Moore
I think I'd.
more than most of those guys.
I
I'd
might
rather
move him
know
for
Fant.
Fan, no,
Yeah,
Fan I like, but I mean like Michael Thomas. Who's the one you said before?
Leonard Fournette, Robert Woods.
I like him more than
Cousins.
Woods and Lockett. Lockett is the most frustrating fantasy player of all time. That's a whole different issue. But it's either like 23 or 3 points.
I'm pretty happy with him. I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah.
see him on a week-to-week basis. No, when you look at the point total, you're like, oh, he's pretty good. But like starting him on a week-to-week basis
Yeah,
is
but
like
you
an
know
anxiety
Ben at
attack.
that point.
He's had one bad week for me, really. Other
Had
than
like
that,
a
I think he's
4-week
been
stretch
phenomenal.
where he didn't score more than like 7 points.
This year?
Yeah. We'll look
Real?
at it after the pod. But going back to Elijah Moore. So check.
All right, we're not looking after the fucking pot. I'm looking right goddamn now.
Yeah, no, look, he had like the 2
Okay,
insane
yeah,
weeks to
he
start
did
the
have a
year.
little
4 through
stretch.
7.
5.1,
3 through
4.4,
7,
8.2, 4.5, 2.2, and then 20s the other weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's either like 20 or like 4.
I've been
know.
very happy with Lockett. I've played him every week, and
You never know.
I don't really have any complaints with him.
But I mean, he's still a good receiver. But going back to Elijah Moore, he had a good week this past week. I think he had actually his best receiving game of the season. I want to say. I think he had like it's Mike White.
Because check down Charlie, Mike White was just checking the ball, and that's
Checking the
where
ball
Elijah
down.
Moore succeeds. Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
I
and Elijah Moore, we saw what they could do.
I still do like him. If I could get him for if I had picked like 204, I think I would still trade that for him, like where he was.
Oh, yeah, I'd
drafted
do
in a
that.
lot of spots.
I
I'm
would,
talking from the perspective of that you have him, and I just think you hold him.
Yeah, no, you definitely.
I
would.
would
Unless you
test
could
the
sell
waters
up
for him.
a fan.
If I could get a
If
first
you
for
sell him
him,
up for no
sure,
fan.
but I don't think I'm selling
I
for him.
like Elijah Moore. I think he's just slightly overpriced right now because a lot of people liked him in the offseason. I don't think that's a bad
He's-
thing. But
He's the case of the buy low, Frank. He's the case of there's a lot of people are going out and saying, "Oh, get Elijah Moore." Been quiet about Zach Wilson. Develop.
Every owner's just been holding.
Yeah.
I just think right now there's
He's
some
the one
hype
that-
behind him for like no apparent reason. Like he leads the league in air yards. Cool. I'm gonna test the waters for him because I think that you might be able to get more than what you drafted him for. If you can't, then yeah, I'll hold him. I'm fine holding him. But to me, he's a player that has gained hype for basically no reason. I still like him. I'm not kind of trying to come off as if I don't like Elijah Moore and then I'm panicking on Elijah Moore. But why not? Why not test the waters? Like if I can get a good receiver plus, like you're saying, I'd rather easily have Elijah Moore over Lockett. Well, if I can get Lockett plus for Elijah Moore, it's just a safe move. Especially as a retooling team, if I can get a draft pick and Tyler Lockett, like I just feel like that's a nice little deal for me, even though I lose out on upside and the flashiness and whatnot. That could be a solid little deal that helps my team out a lot next year.
How do you
I
feel,
guess.
JC?
Well, moving on. Corey Davis. Finish it up. Wrap it up with Corey Davis. Kind of a long
man.
episode. I didn't think it'd be that long.
Yeah, it's been a long episode. I mean, this was an eventful week.
Yeah,
I really don't know what to do with Corey Davis. He's a weird one.
He's a sell for me. If I can. Looking at keep trade cut, which I think we've realized.
I think he's a hold for
super
me because I think well, mostly hold for this. I think you're gonna get a better return selling him mid-season next year than you would right now.
Think so.
I mean, Zach Wilson has played so like bad the first half of this year. I feel like whether or not you think he's going to be the guy, he's going to be playing at a higher level next season. And I don't think Elijah Moore is just going to suddenly take over the number one receiver spot right away.
Players ranked around Corey Davis, Christian Kirk, Terrace Marshall, Jordan Love. Above him, Kenneth Gainwell, Sam Darnold, 2023 late second are what's below.
Yeah, like a late second, and that's above him.
No, late second.
Below him. Yeah, no. For a late second, I would just keep Corey Davis. If anything, I'd get Corey Davis for a late second.
Looking at that, I think I'd rather just have Corey Davis.
Yeah, because I think he's going to be better. I just think the passing attack some weeks the Jets offense was awful. I don't think that's going to be a forever thing.
Yeah, I think it's a hold/buy.
I agree. I'm with you on that.
Look, I will say though, the receivers below him, Kenny Galladay, Bryan Edwards.
Kenny
Who else
Galladay
do I'd rather not have?
dropped a lot.
Yeah. I'm looking at those guys. I think I might.
Well, Kenny Galladay just
grab
can't stay healthy. He just can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I like Kenny I think Kenny Galladay is a buy as well. Bryan Edwards, like I honestly don't value Bryan Edwards very close to Corey Davis and Kenny Galladay.
Same.
As in you're low on Bryan Edwards?
I apparently I don't hate Bryan Edwards. It's just what has he really proven to like have him valued?
I mean,
as,
to
like, a
Bryan
wide
Edwards,
receiver
now
too?
this is your shot. If you're
Yeah,
if you're good,
this is Bryan Edwards' time.
listen. If he's good, he'll start.
I actually
producing a
don't
lot.
think. I think the coaching staff is the bigger issue with Bryan Edwards than it is Henry Ruggs. It wasn't like Henry Ruggs was taking.
Dude, the
many
problem with
targets
Bryan
from
Edwards, the
Edwards.
dude has been inconsistent his whole career. Since South Carolina, the guy has been so inconsistent. 1 week he's gonna look like the best guy ever. He's gonna look like the bee's knees of receivers, and then the next week he's gonna disappear for the
Bee's
next
knees
3
of
weeks, and then he's gonna get injured, and then he's gonna come back, and you'll be like, "Holy shit, this guy's amazing!" And then rinse and repeat. Like I don't know. I have to see it to believe it for Bryan Edwards.
You know how I feel. Not worth repeating. All right. With that,
We'll
season
see.
2.
No excuses rest of the year, buddy.
Look, I'm waiting for a coaching staff, quarterback change.
He's
I
already
need
got the new
something
excuse.
to- I'm holding on to Bryan Edwards for life. Season 2, episode 13 in books. Thank you everyone for listening. Peace out.
Peace.